in order for us to understand really the full impact of what can happen today at this Mass and after, we have to look at a day that we never look at. In fact, there's no Mass that day, no readings. It's simply called Black Saturday. When Jesus said, "Into your hands I commend my spirit," it was true for the centurion who put the lance into his side, and everyone who witnessed the crucifixion. A truth was proclaimed. Jesus of Nazareth has been put to death. The Romans know how to put someone to death. The only one that was there was John, and of course Mama Mary and the other Mary, but John would have gone to the upper room where the apostles received their first communion. And it was a joyous night when they had that meal together. But now, all was lost. For 40 hours, I imagine they weren't very talkative. I imagine they didn't sing. I imagine, of course, that they felt frightened. Any time they could be arrested, and the same thing that happened to Jesus would happen to them. And they weren't ready for martyrdom yet. They would be, but not during those 40 hours. He felt a deep sense of loss. When you're with someone who loves you for 3 full years, 1,100 days, and that person always saw the worst in you, but always saw the best in you, and you could confide in them. When someone you love and has loved you that much dies in the way he died, this tremendous sense of loss. And now what happens next? Our families are going to say, "We told you so. You wasted 3 years of your life." People will laugh at us once all the dust settles. But I think what they felt the most was guilt. Deep, abiding guilt that would not go away. They could not forgive themselves because Jesus was dead. They would never see him again. And they know when he needed them the most, they ran away and hid. Even Peter. "I don't know the man," he said, while he was warming himself by the fire. And so in the midst of all of these feelings, suddenly Jesus, risen, walks through the door. What he should have said in the eyes of the world is, "I told you so. I knew you would do this. I'm going to get 12 men that I can count on, because if I'm going to build a church to last to the end of time, I certainly can't use you. You're fired." That's what most CEOs would do. But our God is the God of the unexpected, the God of surprises. What does he say? After he shows them his hands and his side, he says, "Peace be with you, and I really mean it. Let me show you my hands and my side." What does he say? "As the Father has sent me, so I send you." Do you see the absolute forgiveness in that? And because he forgave them, they were able to forgive themselves and leave the guilt in the upper room. Except for one, Thomas, the unbeliever. And then Jesus says, "Blessed are they who have not seen, but believe." And guess who that is? Each one of you. And that brings us to Divine Mercy Sunday. Saint Faustina, who of course was made a saint, John Paul II said the week after Easter, he was very wise, we are calling it Divine Mercy Sunday. And Faustina has said that on this Divine Mercy Sunday, and not a stream, not spritzing of water, an ocean of mercy for anyone who repents, anyone who goes to confession, anyone who receives Holy Communion, anyone who says an Our Father, a Hail Mary, and a glory be to the Father with the interior attitude of never wanting to sin again. Does that mean you won't? A desire not to sin. Because when we do, something happens that we never talk about. Every time we sin, it is replaced by loneliness. It really is. But today you can begin again. I mean completely begin again. Because if you have gone to confession in the last 3 weeks, or if you go to confession in the next week, if you receive Holy Communion today and say an Our Father, a Hail Mary, and a glory be to the Father, then you get the plenary indulgence. Now some of you, and I mentioned this many weeks ago at the Grand Feast, but I think I need to repeat it. If it's only 1 or 2 people here, I still have to tell you. Maybe you have had a bad experience in confession. Many people have told me that, where the priest was harsh, judgmental, raised his voice, made you feel more guilty than when you came in. And a year ago, Pope Francis, talking about Divine Mercy Sunday, said this. He said, if there are any priests that hear me, if you raise your voice, if you judge, if you're harsh, if you are anything but compassionate, merciful, and welcoming, please do not hear confessions. If you ever go to confession, and a priest does any of those things, what would I advise you? Simply get up and walk out and find another confessor. Or if you're really charitable, you will say to him, look, Father, I'm here for the love and mercy of Jesus, not to have you yell at me. Then run very fast. Here at the feast, priests will be hearing confession afterwards. I'll be hearing confessions this afternoon. If you've already gone, you need not go again. All you need to do is receive the Eucharist and say those 3 prayers and do an act of mercy this week. And then, on this Divine Mercy Sunday, you are justified. What does that mean? Just as if I never sinned. Just as if I never done that. And you receive a plenary indulgence. I remember Brother Bo was interviewing me on Full Tank. And he said to me, Father, 90% of those listening don't know what a plenary indulgence is. Let me briefly tell you what it is. When you go to confession and you receive a penance, that forgives the sins. But damage has been done. Supposing some boys are playing soccer, and it's right near a neighbor's house, and one boy kicks the ball too hard, and it breaks the window of that man's house. I gotta go confess to him. And the boy goes up and he rings the bell, and the man comes and he says, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And the man would forgive him. say a couple prayers for me. But there's one big problem. The broken window. Damage has been done. And it has to be repaired. Whenever we commit a sin, there is some damage that we are unable to repair. Divine Mercy Sunday, when you receive that plenary indulgence, that means plenary be like a plenary hall at PICC. It means that the damage that has been done, that we would usually have to deal with in purgatory, whoop, is gone. If God forbid you died today, whoop, right to heaven. But it's really an opportunity to begin again. There's always that opportunity to begin again. And one thing very, very important. Padre Pio, who could read people's souls, would hear confession hour after hour after hour. And he said something very surprising. He said this: once you go to confession and confess those sins, do not go back and think about them again. Any temptation to hold on to the guilt and be thinking about them is not coming from God. It's coming from Satan. That's why Satan in the book of Revelation is the accuser. He accuses us after we sin. So what does he want to do when we sin? He wants to discourage us. Oh no. The entire past is wiped out. You're just as you were at your baptism. You can begin again. And really, you can begin again every day. By humbly coming before the Lord. I'm sorry today I got involved in business. I'm sorry today I lost my temper. Please forgive me, and you forgive me. But Padre Pio said, don't look past sins. That's not you anymore. But rather just look at what you want to be and what you could be for Him. That's why we call it Divine Mercy Sunday. That's why Brother Bo emphasized last week at Easter. He says, Jesus sees you. He notices you. He knows your past. He knows what you're going through now. He knows your fears, your worry, and your fear. But nothing you can do in your entire life can make God love you more. And nothing you can do in your entire life can make God love you less. God is love. So He has to love you. He has no other choice. But He doesn't want to leave you there. He wants to lift you up by His mercy. To be just like Mama Mary. Just like Jesus. That's who you are. That's the truth about you. And anything else comes from Satan. So if you have been, or if you will, go to confession in the next week, please do Jesus a big favor in return. Leave the guilt there. On Divine Mercy Sunday, no matter what you've done in the past, Jesus says, come. Come. Be not afraid.